All right, welcome back. So today we're going to dive into a really fascinating, kind of mind-bending idea from Eckhart Tolle. It's one that completely flips our whole concept of achievement upside down. What if humanity's next big leap forward isn't about thinking more, but actually thinking less? I know, it sounds a little weird, right? I mean, we live in a world that's all about intellect, analysis, being smart. So what could possibly be valuable about not thinking? We're all taught that someone who doesn't think is, thoughtless or not very bright. But what if that's a total misunderstanding of what's really going on? And this quote from Toll, man, it just nails the whole idea. He says his greatest achievement is that he doesn't have to think all the time. See, it's not about being unable to think. It's about having the freedom from that constant compulsive thinking. That little distinction is absolutely everything. So what is the state that we're all sort of trapped in? Okay, so first, let's define the problem. And it's something every single one of us knows, like, intimately, even if we don't have a name for it. It's that nonstop chatter, that voiced inside our own heads. And this is a super important point. The problem isn't thinking itself, right? We need to think to, function, to get through the day. The real issue is compulsive thinking. It's that voice in your head that just won't shut up, the one that's constantly judging, worrying, planning, replaying the past. It's that mental noise that creates this false idea of who we are, this ego that's always striving and is just never, ever satisfied. So let's be really, really clear here. This is not about becoming some kind of mindless zombie. Not at all. It's about shifting from being completely lost in that voice in your head to being the awareness behind the voice. And that shift? It's way more than just a self-help trick. It might just be the next necessary step in our evolution. All right, let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't just about our own personal well-being. Tolle's argument is that this inner chaos we all feel is actually a symptom of a much, much bigger shift. It's like humanity itself is standing at a major crossroads. You see, this mind-dominated consciousness, which is now amplified like crazy by our technology, has become, well, it's become incredibly destructive. It's literally creating problems way faster than it can solve them. All the endless conflict in the world, the environmental crises, they're all just symptoms on the outside of the state we have on the inside. So a change isn't just a nice spiritual idea anymore. It's become essential for our actual survival. And this analogy just explains the whole thing perfectly. So look at step one. We're all just living in the ocean, right? The ocean of thought. It's all we know. But then step two, that water starts to get polluted. It recedes. That's the crisis. Our thinking mind has become too destructive. So what happens? Step three. We're forced to crawl out onto the land, this totally new, unfamiliar world. That's the leap. And that land is a whole new dimension of consciousness. Now, it's a difficult transition for sure, but it leads us to a completely new world. So what exactly is this new land we're crawling towards? Okay, so if we're evolving beyond thought, where are we going? Well, we're moving into a state of presence, of awareness, or what Eckhart Tolle simply calls stillness. And this comparison here really lays it all out. On one side, you have the thinking mind. It's totally trapped in the past and the future, constantly slapping labels on everything, judging everything. But on the other side, you have presence. That's just the awareness of right now. It's like the silent space behind all your thoughts and emotions. It's always there, but it's not actually made of them. And you know what? This completely redefines what we think of as intelligence. Basic intellect, just analyzing information, computers can already do that way better than us. But true intelligence, the kind that gives you real creativity and wisdom, that happens when a thought comes out of that background of stillness. Then, thought becomes this amazing, inspired tool instead of a compulsive master. Okay, so this all sounds pretty amazing, right? But how? How do we actually do it? How do we take that first wobbly step onto the new land? Well, the good news is, it's a lot simpler than you probably think. This is it. This is the whole practice right here. The goal isn't to somehow silence your mind for hours on end. That's impossible. It's just about creating little, tiny gaps of awareness during your day. We're talking just 2 or 3 seconds of being present without that constant internal commentary. And you can try this literally right now. The next time you're talking to someone, just try to really listen without planning what you're going to say next in your head. Or when you're outside, just listen to the sounds, the birds, the cars, without the mind automatically labeling bird, car. You're just noticing the gaps between your thoughts. It's about giving each moment a little bit of space to just be. Start small. Even just being present for 3 seconds while you're buying a coffee can be a powerful practice. And this is so, so important. This is not about checking out of your life and becoming a monk on a mountain. No way. It's about bringing this space into your life. You transform your interaction with the world by bringing this new dimension of awareness into everything you're already doing. So, what does that actually look like day to day? So let's talk about the payoff here. What happens when these little 2 or 3 second gaps of presence start to get a little wider, a little more frequent? How does your actual day-to-day reality start to change? Well, this is the beautiful part. When you're not spending all your energy constantly trying to defend or build up this mental image of yourself, the ego, a huge amount of energy just gets freed up. Life stops feeling like this endless series of problems you have to solve, and it starts to feel more like a creative, playful adventure. There's just a lightness to it. So let's look at this before and after again. Before, you're always seeking yourself in the future, right? Hoping the next achievement will finally make you feel complete. But after, you realize you're already whole right now. Before, other people are kind of just tools to get what you want. After, you actually honor them in that space of presence. The whole desperate struggle just melts away and gets replaced by this creative dance. And that brings us to this final question. When all the roles you play and all the names you call yourself, when all of that is gone, who are you, really? Now, that's not a question for your mind to try and answer with more labels. It's an invitation. An invitation to discover who you are behind all that mental noise, in that silent, aware space that's always, always there. And finding that, well, that might just be the greatest achievement there is.